An overview of the book of Exodus, the second book called and written by Moses. The theme is deliverance. The date of the writing, 1450 to 1410 BC. Exodus, like Genesis, is a title that is not of Hebrew, but Greek origin. A Greek translation of the Old Testament calls the book Exodus, a word meaning exit, departure, a fitting title for that which describes the going out of the chosen people from the land where they had suffered helplessly as slaves for generations. The word Exodus is found in the Greek version of Exodus chapter 19, verse 1, and significantly in the Greek New Testament in Luke 9:31, Hebrews 11:22, and 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 15. God's relationship with man. This redemption from Egypt was accomplished by divine, miraculous intervention and required on the part of the Israelites on the faith in the shed blood, found in chapter 12, verse 1 through 13. As in the New Testament, redemption is for the purpose of marking possible fellowship of the redeemed people with God. After the accomplishment of redemption from Egypt, the law was given, followed by a revelation of the great truths of worship acceptable to God as set forth in the tabernacle, with its accompanying sacrifices and attending priesthood. Types in Exodus. Exodus presents many types. Significantly, that of Moses, chapter 2, verse 2, the Passover, chapter 12, verse 11, manna, chapter 16, verse 35, the rock, chapter 17, verse 6, the tabernacle, chapter 25, verse 9, showbread, chapter 25, verse 30. Also note the oil, chapter 27, verse 20, and the priesthood, chapter 29, verse 4 and 5. The outline of the book is found in 3 sections. Exodus may be divided into 3 major sections. Number 1, Israel in Egypt, oppressed and conflict with Pharaoh, chapter 1, verse 1 through chapter 12, verse 36. Bondage of Israel, birth and early life of Moses, chapter 1, verse 1 through chapter 2, verse 25. The call of Moses, chapter 3, verse 1 through chapter 4, verse 31. The contest with Pharaoh, chapter 5, verse 1 through chapter 11, verse 10. The institution of Passover, chapter 12, verse 1 through 36. Part 2, Exodus from Egypt and journey to Sinai, chapter 12, verse 37 through chapter 18, verse 27. First stage of the journey, chapter 12, verse 37 through chapter 13, verse 22. Pursuit by Pharaoh and his defeat, chapter 14, verse 1 through chapter 15, verse 21. Provisions in the wilderness, chapter 15, verse 22 through chapter 18, verse 27. At Sinai, part 3, the giving of the law and the construction of the temple, chapter 19, verse 1 through chapter 40, verse 38. The fifth dispensation. In the Old Testament, there are 4 dispensations. The fifth dispensation is found in Exodus. The law is instituted in chapter 19, verse 1 through 25. The detail of the law, chapter 20, verse 1 through 32. The commandments, judgment, and feast, chapter 20, verse 1 through chapter 24, verse 8. Moses on Sinai, chapter 24, verse 9 through chapter 25, verse 2. Details of the tabernacle, chapter 25, verse 3 through chapter 27, verse 21. The priesthood, chapter 28, verse 1 through chapter 29, verse 46. The tabernacle's use, chapter 30, verse 1 through chapter 31, verse 18. The broken law, chapter 32, verse 1 through 35. The journey resumes in chapter 33, verse 1 through chapter 35, verse 35. The construction of the tabernacle, chapter 36, verse 1 through chapter 40, verse 38. The tabernacle in the book of Exodus was a type of Jesus Christ. Each part of the tabernacle represented a part of Jesus Christ. What the tabernacle did for Moses and the children of Israel is what Jesus did for us on a hill called Calvary. This concludes the overview of the book of Exodus.